have flown. Hell is frozen over. The Saints are on their way to the Super Bowl.
4-3, game on the line. Williams lofting one for a doozy. He caught
it! You're listening to the world's #1 football podcast. Now, here are your hosts, Ben Hansen, Matt Hartman, and Ryan Matthews.
All right, College Corner, Volume 12 now. 2 more weeks left of college football, which gives me shivers. It's a shame that it's gone as quickly as it came, right? But before we get into all that, Matt, how you doing?
Ben, listen, all right. The Saints are done. The Thunder are spiraling. We might be frauds. If I don't get Cam Coleman, it might be over. It might be done. I am on a Cam Coleman watch. I'm reading everything I possibly can. I'm subscribed to different sites with Texas, from Texas football. I'm reading the same things, and oh my goodness, if they don't get Cam Coleman, I'm gonna spiral. Because after being fed some lies on Isaac Brown being a crystal ball, and then he goes back to Louisville. But I'm happy for you. I'm happy for you. You beat Alabama by 35 in the Rose Bowl.
Oh my gosh, dude. Absolute belt to ass. We will definitely get into it. To kind of lay it out, we'll review the quarterfinal games, jump into our 2 semis, and then we'll talk about the chaos that is the transfer portal right now.
Because we have to.
We have to. Oh, absolutely. We have to. Again, I can't imagine. I mean, with the whole Jaden Baugh, he might be he's
I gave up on that. I gave up on that.
Yeah, I know. But then he didn't. And then it's Isaac Brown. Okay, no, he's not. Just kidding. And I was Cam Coleman. We'll see.
Yeah,
it sounds like it's between A&M and you guys. So
Alabama's making a search. That's the most recent rumor. I don't know. Cam Coleman, please get to the 40 acres, son. Please.
I continue. If he is making, and again, we'll get into just transfer talk in general at the back end of the show here. But I had told you this. If he wants to make what is the best decision for him in his football life, Texas would be where he should go. Alabama, sure, but what is your quarterback situation going to look like? We won't get into how bad that kind of played out.
Yeah.
And then I like Marcel Reeds, but I'm not a big fan of that. But there's a very realistic possibility. Just Texas A&M throws them all the oil money, and they're like, all right, you're going to be here. And Texas A&M can also, again, kind of hang their hat on what they did with KCC this past year. Be like, look at what we just did with him. Why can't we do this with you? So it'll be a tight battle, but for your mental sanity and your sports sanity of it all, I hope that you can get Cam Coleman. But yes, we'll start off again talking about quarterfinals and everything, and I think the best way to go about it is just go in order, chronological order in which these games have happened. So obviously we will start out by talking about what is probably the biggest shocker, maybe Ole Miss in Georgia, which we'll get into in a little bit. But we'll start out with Miami and OSU. That was one heck of a battle. I will let you take it away because I need to pull up these drive charts. I had them up and I deleted them, but I'll read the drive charts to everyone. It'll make a lot of sense why OSU lost this game.
I mean, it's the classic story of why Ohio State loses these bigger games. It was kind of the same thing. And if you watched it with your eyes, you could just tell one team was kicking the other's ass. And I thought Miami from the jump, even with that fumble early in, I think, the first quarter, they were just the aggressor the entire time. And they were just always on a front foot. They have that touchdown early in this game where they do that little, like, what was it? They have like 7 offensive linemen. They swing Fletcher in the flat. I loved that play. I thought it was just great. I love little misdirection stuff like that. And then right out of it, I'm like, I remember going into the break, I'm like, oh, Miami's going to win this game. Like right after that touchdown, I'm like, they're just the aggressor. They are, if this is what it looks like, they're going to just dominate. And then right on my head, like Jeremiah Smith runs downfield, and you go, oh, that's why Miami probably doesn't win this game. And then Keontae Scott jumps like an edge rusher. And then Reuben Bain also on that play. Did you see his get off on that play?
Yeah.
If you haven't seen the pick six, go watch the pick six again and just watch the defensive line as well. Even if it's a screen pass, I don't care. Reuben Bain almost gets to the quarterback off like his jump alone. Keontae Scott jumps the screen and is gone. And you just like feel it. Like you just feel the drop in your stomach like, whoa. Like 14 on a night like this might be enough. And it was. And I mean, they get to 14, blah, blah, blah. They have the touchdown, pretty early in the fourth quarter that cuts it to 3. And it's a tight game. And then like Ohio State had one shot. They had really one shot at this, and they had to punt the ball, and Miami went on another one of those like aggressor drives and finished with 7, and that's all she wrote. And I have nothing more but like just more and more respect for Cristobal and what he's been able to do with this season, because in seasons past, this team gives up. This team quits after that SMU loss, and it's just all she wrote. And he galvanized that team to, listen, keep playing hard. There's no guarantee, but keep playing hard. And they get to the spot, man. And not to pat myself on the back, but still 75-1 to win the championship. I got him the weekend before the result, or the picking. Or the committee's selection show or whatever. Yeah. So I'm still sitting on a Miami ticket that I'm in love with. But no, for this team to just look the way that they have it's pretty cool.
Yeah. Well, shoot, I mean, might as well hold that ticket. Considering the game that they'll be playing, this coming week here. But yeah, I mean, Miami, as you said, was just the aggressor the entire game, and they made Julian Sand look like a first-year quarterback, and that's how they got to it. And just all game long, that defense was stifling and was not giving up anything. I'm going to read to you guys again the drive charts here for Ohio State, and again, don't make you look at it and be like, yeah. And for Ohio State, it was really just like we're going to hit the big play with Jeremiah Smith, or absolutely nothing is going to happen. Because it was 3 plays, punt, 4 plays, punt. In the second quarter, it was 3 plays, an interception, 5 plays, punt, 3 plays, punt. And then they finally put together a long drive. It was going into the end of half. Missed field goal. And then
which that one was insane too, because they kind of throttled down a little bit going into that or whatever. They what was it? They took a long period of where they had 45 seconds and they had timeouts and they kind of took it down, which was weird with this kicker. I saw that and I'm like, you need to get as close as possible with this guy.
Yes.
And you have the talent to get 7. So that came back to bite him, and I didn't feel too bad.
Was anyone shocked that that is how that ended, right? Because I am not. He has consistently not been able to hit kicks when it matters the most. Maybe we should start calling him Tyler Loop. And then in the third quarter, they had 11 plays, 82 yards, touchdown, good for them. And then they started the fourth quarter with 10 plays, 75 yards, and another touchdown. But then it was 7 plays, punt, 2 plays, interception. So again, they were sustaining drives. Congratulations. Or it was 3 or 4 plays.
And what did those drives have in common, Ben?
Oh, gosh.
Sayan didn't take a sack.
There you go.
Or he took 1 sack, and it was 4 yards. That was another thing with him. He took a lot of, run around 7-8 yard sacks in this game that I was like, you aren't the athlete for that.
No. It was bad. There is an athlete in the game that Miami will be playing that maybe could pull that off. But again, we will see. Only time will tell with that one. But again, it was just not that. Whoa. It was just, again, it was an absolute beatdown. Miami was the aggressor. That pass rush pairing that we told you guys going into the game just wreaked havoc, caused again Julian Sayin to just look off. And it'll be interesting to see how they show up next week. Now we'll get into I was going to say largest margin of victory, but it's not. But I will say felt slow, very slow, and felt probably more lopsided than what the final score actually ended up being in this game. That was Oregon beating the no offense Texas Tech. It's probably the game that many people expected. It was just it was awful. It really wasn't a whole lot of fun to watch. Oregon wins 23-0. Texas Tech literally was again not able to get anything going at all on the ground or through the air. And then the few times that Oregon gifted them something, they still weren't able to capitalize on it. And then you finally get maybe a drive going and you get some semblance of hope. And then, Cameron Dickey fumbles the football. There was a lot of fumbles in this game. It seemed like none of them went Texas Tech's way. And again, it's probably the game that most people expected with Bear Morton back at quarterback.
Yeah, Oregon gave Texas Tech every opportunity to be in this football game. They had 27 attempts on either third or fourth down in this game, including the fake punt. 4 for 19 on third down. That feels impossible to do. And you win the game with a shutout. Texas Tech's rushing attempt or rushing yardage is kind of skewed in my mind because they rushed 30 attempts for 78 yards in this one. 50 plays came on one play to Jacoby Williams, in which Bryce Betcher cuts off Amari Washington as he breaks as he sheds a block. Amari Washington is going to swallow Jacoby Williams, but Betcher comes down so fast trying to contain kind of that he just cut blocks Washington, and it's 50-yard gain. And it's I remember watching it. I'm like, oh my God, this is the only way that you keep this team in it is if you're literally you're just that amped up. You're just that amped up. And from that point on, they settled into the game, and they were just tremendous. I mean, they won with their front. Again, both quarterbacks, much like Sayin, the sacks are out of hand. Just a lot of runaround sacks that I did not appreciate. There was what was it? Dante Moore. If Dante Moore's coming out into the draft, you have to throw that ball to Kenyon Sadiq on that fourth down. Did you see that one? That one was really bad. Didn't love that one. He underthrew Malik Benson on the first drive that they only get 3 out of. Will Stein calls a sprint out on fourth down, directed at me, I think. Again, I just in every sense, but that becomes nothing. And there's just so many opportunities for Texas Tech to do literally it is the do something meme with this game. And Oregon still felt that ahead of. This game could have been 40-0. think about that, and that's a great thing for Lanning, by the way. Is Lanning still? We were talking about the like, oh, we gave up 34 points to JMU. He's got like he gets to pump up his team and things like that, and now he gets to do it again, and he gets to basically say like we could have had 40 on them, and they didn't, and they were just very, they were just ugly. Now we're getting the news about Jordan Davison. He broke his clavicle in that one. Shout out to him. He did not break it on the final play. I saw that getting like, he finished the game, and that was tough as hell from him. That's a true freshman. Another true freshman, Brandon Finney, showed out. Like, again, just Oregon stars, and I'm talking recruiting stars, showed up in this game.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, it ends up being a mute point because Texas Tech isn't able to do anything on it. But there were one more stands out than the other. But there were two times in this game where we had both talked to each other and we're like, why in the world is Oregon giving Texas Tech this like field position? Like, it doesn't make any sense. Like, you have it, like, Texas Tech has not been able to get anything done on offense all day. Make them go the full 90 yards. Make them go the full 75 yards down the field, and that's how you're going to win this game. And again, it ended up not mattering, but if they try to do dumb stuff like that this coming week, it's going to bite them in their ass. And again, I don't think they will. Dan Lanning doesn't seem like the kind of guy that's going to kind of put up with that kind of BS, especially in a game that's much
in a semifinal,
evenly matched. Yeah. But it's just, I don't know. They better figure it out this week, or it's going to be a bludgeoning. So
wait, before we move, can we talk about the Tech front for a second? Those guys were animals. Those guys were insane. David Bailey was getting his hands on every single ball. He was winning around like the right tackle. I'm surprised he didn't point at the right tackle halfway through, and it's like, he can't guard me kind of feeling. Like, you better slide some help. And then just from the jump, he's another guy. Lee Hunter pops off the screen when you watch Texas Tech stuff. He's a nose tackle, but like, he is athletic, and you saw it in this game where he could shed and can really like move side to side and close down on running backs. And he kind of had a quiet game, but Romello Height had some wins in this game. They used him as a spinner. They lined him up over the guard a few times. Just those three guys specifically, and then like Roberts and Rodriguez kind of ran all over the field, didn't create their turnovers, so everybody says they suck now. That's kind of just how the world goes. But those guys were doing what they do. They run around, they hit you, and they get a lot of tackles, but it's about those three guys up front, and those guys were incredible, man. And so I'm really interested to see where they go now, because I mean, like, they paid $6 million for a quarterback. Those three guys aren't coming back. That's a big deal for this Tech, like, winning a national championship. This was a shot that they had, because those three guys are true NFL difference makers, in my opinion.
No, I absolutely. Obviously, David Bailey will be a first-round pick. There's chatter about Romello Height being a top 40 pick, maybe even a first-round pick. And as you said, you fix your quarterback problem. Depending on how you feel, I'm still not completely sold. But you hopefully fix your quarterback problem. But now you're filling a lot of
He's
holes
better than Morton. Like, we could both agree
Morton.
on that.
Yes.
Like, I think that was their plan.
Yes. Sorsby's better than Morton. I will agree with that. But again, now you're losing so many key pieces along the defensive line, and then obviously J-Rod. It's going to be interesting. I'm interested to see how active they are in the portal, because I'm going to think they have to be. But you spent $6 million on a quarterback, as you said, so I don't know how much money you have, but you got the oil money, so we will see. But swinging on into another absolute bludgeoning, IU just beat down on Alabama. I enjoyed it so much. IU beat Bama 38-3 in a game in which IU's offense was humming. Fernando Mendoza was surgical. He threw more touchdowns than he did incompletions in this game. Their RBs combined for 188 yards, one of the best tandem backfields in the entire country. And you add all of that on top of the fact that Ty Simpson just reverted back to being absolute hot garbage. And that raises a bigger question, which we don't have to get into today, but like, what is Alabama's quarterback situation going to look like? Because that offense looked better with Austin Mack in the game than it did with Ty Simpson. And that is saying something when when this freshman quarterback comes in who basically hasn't played the entire season and is looking better in this moment than what at one point was your Heisman hopeful quarterback. That's not really a good sign for them. And I think a lot of it, again, probably had to do with, they had mentioned injury. I don't think that had much to do with it, but I just think it was because Austin Mack was playing with house money and he wasn't scared. He's like, well, so what? We're down by so much. I'm a freshman quarterback. There's not much for me to lose here. And you kind of saw the swagger that the kid was playing with. He definitely moved quicker than Ty Simpson did, and he wasn't scared to just chuck the ball down the field in the way that Ty Simpson was throughout literally the entirety, like the majority of 3/4 of this game for Ty Simpson.
Yeah, I think. Listen, the 38-3, like, it's kind of a deceptive score.
Sure.
Because you think about just, I always talk about the margins of a football game, and you just think about little things. Like, the first touchdown drive for Indiana is off that short field in which they do a pop pass on 4th and 1, because they're so terrified to run the ball. Alabama is terrified to run the ball in Indiana. And they do that. Sig calls the timeout, and then they come out and they do the weird punt formation with Ty Simpson on the field, and then they, like, call a timeout again, and then they come out of it, and their best play is, let's try and get Jeremy Bernard to the edge on a pop pass. And I was like, oh, okay, didn't like that. Like, I banged a table. I think I was really upset, just because I just don't think that is ever, I don't think a pop pass on 4th and 1 is ever gonna do it for you. But
No.
then they create a 3 and out a few drives later, and they're driving in a 10-0 game right before half, and then fumble. And then who else? It's always Pons. I remember, I don't know if I've ever told you that, but like, there was a time last year he had a big play. I'm like, who did that? It's got to be Pons. It's always Pons. Pons is always coming up with these plays, man, and he's done it all year. And I'll never forget when he blocked the punt against Illinois. But like, he comes up with that fumble. What do they do off of it? Touchdown. And it's 17-0, just like that. Just 2 marginal errors. It wasn't like in their first major drive, you have the communication error where they have to run it on 3rd and 9 because Mendoza can't get the call in, and that was the big stop. That was that's a big stop because they killed time in a game that you want the clock going fast because you're the underdog. But they couldn't get the stops when they needed to, and they created short fields. And then in the second half, someone said, I can't take credit for it. I don't know who said it, but it was a perfect thing. Indiana beat Alabama the way Alabama's teams used to beat teams. If that makes sense. You think back to Alabama Washington in the playoff a decade ago. You think back to those games where it's just we are more disciplined than you, we are more physical than you, we are stronger than you, we're going to run the ball for 4 yards and then 5 yards, and then we're going to hit a little chunk. And then Mendoza's going to hit this little RPO, and it's going to be 8 yards. And it's just so freaking efficient, and they don't commit penalties. They're just a wagon, man. They're so good. They're so disciplined, and they come to fight you every single time. And also, the Rose Bowl, that was an Indiana, crowd. I think that juiced them up a little bit. And I don't know. I was really disappointed in the Alabama side. I didn't think they were going to win this game. I was kind of playing into the bit of like, hey, let's let's pick somebody different. I wanted to pick an underdog last week, but
Sure.
for them to feel that flat and just like that touchdown right before half, it felt like they gave up. And like the only thing DeBoer could say at those little like sideline interviews that they do right before they go in the tunnel is like, "Well, we've been here before. That's a good thing, right? We've done some good things." And I'm like, "Oh man, dude, like that's fine." And then you made it. We'll hit on it just a little bit, but like Austin Mack comes in, and I think it's just the reason he looked better. He's just got a more live arm. I think he's just got, and you said it right. Like he's able to rip it in a 24-0 game with no repercussions. That's just what it is. And then they kick that 3 in the red zone. You don't want to get shut out in the Rose Bowl. That's fair. But that's 2 years in a row. The damn Rose Bowl has been a blowout, and it's been a game I look forward to every year. And this is back-to-back years that the Big Ten. Last year the Big Ten dominated because it was Big Ten versus Big Ten. But yet again, the Big Ten dominates this year.
Yeah. No, I pleasantly enjoyed it. Two, I guess, quick thoughts on the Indiana side of it, as you talked about Alabama there. Two things, and I don't know if you got the same feeling. And there are two or three plays that really stand out. I can't pinpoint the exact time. All of them coming in the second half of the game. But there were a couple times where, like, I'm like, surely this Alabama defense has Fernando Mendoza dead to rights. And I don't know.
Oh,
somehow
he
sneaks through the A gap and barely gets like a half yard past the marker, and the drive continues. And I'm just like, what in the world did I just watch from what is, your pocket passing quarterback? And then the other thing, this is a bit of a concern, especially going into next week. I touched on the Staley thing being a bit of a factor in this game, and me worrying about them not being able to get pressure on the quarterback. And to be frank, my nightmares kind of came true, especially in the first half of that game. They were struggling to get anything going, and it felt like Ty Simpson had all day to sit back in the pocket. And again, it ended up not mattering, but it's going to matter a lot more if you can't dial up these pressures. If Mo Kamara can't turn it on in the Oregon game, if you're going to give Dante Moore time with all the playmakers he has, it could get ugly. So hopefully it's not that same showing next week, or I guess this week.
That is a great point. It's just another sample size to figure out how much of a impact Daly's injury will be in these big spots.
Yeah, exactly. So, and then moving on to what was the final game.
We got a game, man. We got a game that was exciting. Oh my god!
And it was the best one. It was the best one. I'll let you take it over. It was an absolute shootout.
I was in the fourth quarter of the Rose Bowl, like, oh my, just give me a game. Just give me a game. And I was still sitting on the same thing of like my take of like, I think this is going to be a blowout. I think Georgia is going to score 40. I think Georgia could get just roll. And then it started out and it was kind of just like, just kind of weak through the first, like it was some long field goals by Carnero. And that was really it. And so they were getting their stops. And then you get a few touchdown drives. There was a drive where Georgia just like pummeled them on the ground, where they just like, it was Nate Frazier. And then we'll bring in Bowens for one. And then back to Nate Frazier, and they get down the field. And then they get the fumble 6. And the fumble 6, I don't know if you had the same feeling where it's like, oh man, like this is what I talked about. This is the deep end of the pool Kirby drags you to, and he kind of just takes you out. And they come out of half, and they just stayed in it, man. They just stayed in it. Like, that was the biggest thing. Kirby takes a super-duper long field goal, like a 50-something yarder with Woodring which I was like going into it, like I would just play the field position. Again, with college kickers, you're never gonna see me saying like I'd take the 50-yarder. Like I think the points are valuable. And he short legs it. They come out of that, they score a touchdown, and then the start of the fourth quarter, you have that drive where Chambliss, he legitimately hits like this unreal flow state of like one of the second down play, he runs backwards and he does a little flip. And then actually, oh, by the way, Keon Lacey gets the first down. Oh, wait, no, he stepped out like 7 yards before. And then it's 3rd and 7. And then he runs backwards and he's on the end zone line and then finds Keon Lacey again. And then that play, what was it? KJ Bolden comes down and hits Keon Lacey so hard. He hurts himself he immediately holds his shoulder. He hits him so hard. And Keon Lacey fights for the first down, gets that. And then that was the next play where they do a little rollout with Chambliss, and he makes a perfect on-the-money throw to Trey Wallace.
Yeah.
Just an unbelievable throw. McDonough called it perfectly, and that was the spot. Like they score a touchdown on that drive, and it's like, whoa. Like, wait a minute. Is this guy like this is the X factor that I didn't realize of like if he hits this state of like unbelievable play after unbelievable play that you can't predict, and he did it, man. And what was it? Was that right after the Georgia had that fake punt thing where they go for it on 4th down or whatever, they jog them on. In the moment, I didn't think it was supposed to be snapped because when you see it get snapped, the offensive line reacts slowly. Like they react on a delay, and that's just really rare. That just doesn't happen unless everybody is kind of not on the same page. The left tackle just completely gets blitzed, and that edge rusher gets unblocked. It's non-block pressure. Gunner fumbles. They score a touchdown off of it. And then it's a 10-point game, and it's like, well, this feels like, again, like this is just keep everything in front of you and figure it out. And Georgia made it a game. They got their 3-and-out stop. But Carnero, once again, also this. I'm going long on this, but okay. So this was something I was really upset about. And I said in the moment that I was really upset about to you. When they were on that 3rd and goal, so Kirby has like a minute left. 3rd and goal, down by 3, a minute. No timeouts for Ole Miss. You have to run the ball. You have to run the ball. I don't care about the optics. I don't care about we can get a touchdown and we can take the lead. No, Trinidad Chambliss is on the other side, and if you incomplete this pass, and you have Zachariah Branch, who in space, you could do a quick screen. You could do whatever. You could get the ball out of Stockton's hands quickly if you want, but you have to do something safe that keeps the clock moving in that spot and take this to overtime and say, listen, we're the better team, we're the more talented team, and we're officially in an uncharted territory for Pete Golding. He doesn't know what to do in overtime. You can convince yourself of that. Instead, you go for it, you throw it to the end zone, it's a bad throw, the clock stops, that's 40 seconds left on the clock. What does Trinidad Chambliss do in 40 seconds? Drives him down. Carnero, once again, comes through, drills it from wherever he was. I don't think it was as deep as the other ones, but still, in that leverage of a spot, he nails it, and that's it. But that was one of those things that it's like, you can't do that. Like, you have to understand the situation of, like, I get taking the lead there, but you have to run clock in that scenario.
100%. Absolutely. It was questionable choices. There was a couple of times I feel like throughout this game that we had texted back and forth, and we're like, there's some weird choices that both teams were making in terms of play calling in situation. It ended up just affecting Georgia more than it did Ole Miss. It was a great game. I mean, you basically touched on everything that I would have wanted to. Yeah. The two big things is Ole Miss fans rejoiced, obviously, for a couple of reasons, but Lacey is coming back. it looks like Chambliss will probably come back. They've been
Listen,
giving
if
out
they're
that,
giving, they give out medical red shirts like candy. Like if he doesn't get
yes,
another one, I'm gonna be extremely bummed.
yes, exactly. And it seems like, as you said, Chambliss is probably going to come back. Um, Candy is the exact word that I would have. That's the exact verbiage and wording I would have used. Um, so it's exciting. On the flip side of that, too, again, we talk about kind of that transcendence quarterback play that we saw in the back half of the third quarter, throughout the fourth quarter for Chambliss. Um, but man, Gunner's just an Iron Man. There were 3 or 4 hits throughout that game where I'm like,
The
is
play
this
that he threw to
kid?
Cash Jones, everybody in my life saw that. Everybody in my life saw him ragdoll, where he legitimately leaves the earth to get hit and ragdolls, and then the next play runs like a QB power and scores.
Yeah.
It was incredible.
It was amazing. And again, despite them not getting the win, I mean, caps off to the kid. I mean, like he's an Iron Man. Again, there were 2 hits there in like 2 really gnarly hits in that game. You touched on the big one where he did like that weird jump pass and got taken off
Mhm.
his feet, and the fact he popped right back up and scored the touchdown the next play. I mean, really just shows you the heart that this kid has. But again, it was just, it was such a hoot to watch this game. It was a pleasure, and
I
I'm
also
glad that we
like
actually got a good game.
last thing before we move on, like
Yeah.
two guys that they weren't really on my radar, but like watching them in this game for Ole Miss, because there's not a lot of Ole Miss like NFL players coming out of there. It's just
No.
the nature of the portal. They're kind of built around a certain system that they aren't athletic enough, and they kind of just work to the scheme, blah blah blah. And Dejon Stribling, he's a really good player. I thought the way he won downfield in this game, that looks real to me. And then similar to like what Trey Harris was able to do, yeah, the route tree is probably limited, but if you win at the things that you can win at and you get vertical, those things are like people are going to want you in the NFL, and you can kind of get more diverse as you go on in the NFL. And then the other one, Xavier Harris. I don't know how many times, number 51, I don't know how many times he was just on the ground and it's like, oh no, he's hurt. And it's just, no, he's just a defensive lineman. He has to play every snap and he's exhausted. Like, there were so
Yes.
many times where he literally just laid there with like no movement, and I can just tell they just ran over and they're like, "You good?" He's like, "I am out of breath. I can't walk. Like, give me a second." And then he would go out. Like, how many times do you see a defensive tackle in the box score have 10 tackles? He had a pass deflection like later in this game that was monstrous. He was incredible. I thought that was something that just got on my radar. Just anytime I see a defensive lineman take over the game that he was able to do, I always get my ears perked up.
Yeah, it's fun. It was a great game. A couple NFL guys to watch there. It'll be interested as we get into the scouting of it all, as the off season for many of the casual fans hit. So now we will jump on over to the semifinal games. We'll go in order of the Thursday game and then the Friday game. And we will get to continue to gush about Trinidad Chambliss and this amazing front that Miami has. For me, and I'll kind of kick us off here, I think the way that Miami wins this game is by getting like finishing plays with Trinidad Chambliss, right? You were able to make Julian Sayin kind of look kind of stupid at times, look like a freshman quarterback. Trinidad Chambliss is coming off of this very transcendent game, but this is also his first year in D1 football, given he was a good D2 football player, Ferris State. We all know his backstory at this point. But you had touched it, especially in the fourth quarter of that game, where it looked like Miami was able to, or looks like Georgia was able to get pressure on him, forcing Chambliss to roll out, but was just never able to finish the play. Now, Miami, if you want to win this game, you have to actually sack Chambliss, because what this kid can do out of structure will absolutely kill you. So that's Miami's key to the game. And then obviously the vice versa for that is Chambliss has to continue to play that transcendent game that we had seen throughout the second half of that game, and you have to be able to protect him. So again, that matchup kind of just comes down to those edge rushers that Miami has. It kind of seems cop out because that's been kind of what we said about Miami throughout this entire process, but that is truly what it is for them.
Yeah, I think the biggest X factor in this game is some would say the large humans. The trenches of Miami are just so overwhelming. They have been for the last 2 rounds against better competition than Ole Miss, frankly. And so, again, that's where Miami needs to, again, be the aggressor, be the bully on the block. And with Cristobal, I don't think that's going to change. And then for Ole Miss's side, you said, like, I think it needs to – there's a lot of – there's a lot of X factors you can't just draw up in the dirt. It's just Chambliss, can you not be sacked? Can you just keep these drives going and just be this chaos creator, as I always like to call these quarterbacks, and just all the time just be able to make this a shootout? If Miami wins this game, it's because it's a punch you in the mouth and they punched harder and they knocked them out. If this is a shootout and you get down to it in the final 5 minutes in a 30-30 game, you kind of favor Ole Miss. So I'm interested to see which way kind of swings. I think one of the other things is with Miami playing A&M, in which A&M has 3 points, and Ohio State, that they didn't do a lot of tempo. Ole Miss is one of the fastest teams in the country. So Charlie Weiss is still going to be there. Charlie Weiss has been calling plays all season long, by the way. I don't think a lot of people really understood that until the playoffs started. It's like, this is Charlie Weiss's offense. Lane Kiffin is kind of he was kind of the mascot of this team this season, and so this makes it even greater. But they go incredibly fast, and I think that's the biggest thing. Is there was a drive in the A&M game where they took Mesidor and Bain off for a few snaps, thinking A&M's going to run the clock here and do the 2-minute warning. A&M got 2 chunk plays because they were able to go no huddle. They were kind of able to keep those guys off the field, no subs. So I'm really interested to see if Ole Miss is working to kind of tire them out with their overall tempo that they kind of master in a sense. They're just always going quick, and when you get some first downs, it just rolls, and it can convert those 10-play touchdown drives into 2 minutes with how fast they can go. So I'm really interested to see on how they just neutralize those guys, because you just can't leave these tackles on an island. You really can't. You need to go into it. You got something tied behind your back, and figure it out. Figure it out. So interested to see on how that goes. And then for Miami, Miami's offense, they've kind of sucked, but they haven't turned the ball over.
Outside of Fletcher, they've kind of sucked.
Yeah, but it's Beck hasn't done the Beck thing, where where it's 300 yards, 2 touchdowns, 3 picks. You know what I'm saying? He's grown up. I thought he was excellent against the blitz, against Ohio State specifically. I thought he can recognize things. He's got it between the ears, and he gets the ball out where it needs to go. He knows his hots, and I think that's just don't give them the ball. I feel I know it's that simple, but Carson Beck has had problems in the past of doing that, and that's why Georgia told him to go away. But I'm really intrigued with this one. I think this is a really, really fun one, just from the state of Miami wants to beat the hell out of you, Ole Miss wants to finesse the hell out of you. They want to go up and down the field, and they want to make this a 40-40 game.
Yes, yeah. Well, they want to run you out of the building, right? So what is your pick for this game?
I'm going to pick Ole Miss.
Right?
I'm going to pick Ole Miss.
I'll do Miami then. Right, because it is a close game. I could go either way. I was leaning Miami, so I'm glad you did Old Miss. I really wanted to pick Old Miss last week. If you listen back, you can see that I wanted to pick Old Miss.
Yes.
I didn't. I
Yes.
copped out. I should have. Yeah, no, you live, you learn. But I think Miami just does it with the edge rushers again. Miami has done it against better teams thus far in A&M. We could argue if they're better than Old Miss or not, but definitely OSU. So I'm just going to lean on the defensive front of Miami here. Before we get to the next game, I have kind of I'm going to throw you on the spot here, an overarching question for the Old Miss of it all. Do you think there's any chance that they can convince Charlie Weiss to stay? Because he seemed hesitant at first to even go, right? Like if you go back and you look at the stories, like Charlie Weiss did not originally get on the plane to go to Baton Rouge. And then Old Miss Lincoln was like, okay, I'll take you anyways. But like if Old Miss can make a deep run in this, I'm wondering if
They already have.
well, yeah, they already have. But if they can make a deeper run in this, I'm wondering if there's anything that Pete Golding and the AD there at Old Miss can do to convince him outside of retaining Chambliss. I think that would probably be a big factor in whether or not he is able to return. And I don't quite know what like the legality of it is in terms of like signing a contract with the LSU and whatnot. But like I'm wondering if they can do enough to convince him to just stay.
Dude, I don't know. I don't know the logistic. I feel like that would be. I feel like it'd be so hard to get around with.
Yeah.
Like you said, the legality of it all. But I mean, I'd welcome.
It's his
him back.
offense, you know.
I'd welcome him back if you wanted to do it. But I think he's with LSU for the long haul. I think this is just icing on the cake for him specifically. The other thing. Lane did not expect them to win that game. He is because like, what was it? Yesterday morning, it was like now they're not. Now all the coordinators who were with Lane aren't going to return, and then it became just Charlie Weiss is going to return, and then it became like Kevin Smith, the running backs coach, was like, no, I'm going to stay. Like I think there is a lot of there's a lot of juggling for these guys, but. And I understand that's another point in emphasis for like Miami, but I think the overall you can't teach spiting somebody else. You just can't account for it. And Ole Miss making the title game off of spite is pretty cool to think about in retrospect. And you think I'm going to pick the ACC against the SEC? Come on.
They've already done it once, right? But I don't know. But like, let's be honest. I never mind. We will get into our Friday game. Again, the spreads are the exact same. Each team is favored by 3.5. Miami, and now IU over Oregon. I kind of took over to start the Ole Miss Miami game, so I'll let you take it over here before I can get into my game plan for either team.
Yeah, so this is a rematch of, what is it, week 7? Again, I don't remember this game a lot because the Red River game was going on at the same time. So I had to go back and watch it.
Or collapse.
the most important thing was how unprepared off a bye the Trench guys were for Oregon. IU was just outside of like the few false starts. They were just in the game, and you can't, like those are the stemming issues, blah blah blah. Like he comes from the Kirby system. Sometimes the Big Ten is going to call it, sometimes they're not. Blah blah blah. Like it's an SEC origin kind of like stemming. So again, the SEC has cracked on it this year, but the Big Ten still figuring it out. Blah blah blah. But outside of those, the front for Indiana just took it to them. And they were just willing to take it to him. And it felt like, but they didn't finish the drives that they had. And so you leave Oregon in a spot where they get the pick 6 from Finney, and you just have that moment where it's like, okay, now here it comes. Like, here it comes. Like, now the Ducks break through, blah, blah, blah. And Mendoza leads the drive that I think all of us realize that it's like you squint and go, oh, that was something. Like that was a moment in time that he's just able to do that. He's able to have that, clutch gene in a sense. And they didn't really throw the ball downfield too much, but just what they were able to do, how he's able to galvanize the offense. And it's like, we're still in this game. I'm coming off this mistake. I'm not rattled. And they figure it out and they win the game off of it. But for this game, I think the biggest thing is all of these guys for Oregon specifically, like Betcher was asked after the game and he's like, I want revenge. All these guys seem galvanized by the fact of talking Oregon side about facing Indiana again. What that tells me is Lanning's a good motivator, man. And I think Lanning probably right after that game said, I didn't realize my guys were just not going to be prepared for a fight. And if we prepare for a fight, there's something there. You know what I'm saying? So, again, I'm interested to see in what they bring from a mentality standpoint and just how they punch back early in this game. Because, truly, I think the quarterbacks are going to wash out. Like they both take weird sacks at times. They both don't have an impressive sack rate. They're both really talented. They both make plays down the field. The receivers, I don't know the status on Evan Stewart. I know he's talked about playing in this game. He probably plays. I know Davison is now out.
Oh, that would hurt.
All these things, but in the wash, I think the skill players on each side of the ball truly do wash out. And it comes down to like who makes some of the defensive plays, like a Finney pick six or, a tip deflection in this game, and who sets the tone? Who has the tone set? Like, is Indiana running in the third quarter, running for 7 yards a pop on a drive to just get him a touchdown drive? Like, I just think this is a 4-quarter fight once again, and I'm really excited for it because this is another one of those games where it's like one of these teams is defined by the other, in a sense. Yeah. Oregon is either defined this season as the team that couldn't beat Indiana. They got 2 tries at it, and they couldn't do it, both at home and both in the playoffs. And if IU loses, they were the team that they got the more impressive win beating on the road in Eugene, in Austin, something nobody does, and then they lose in the bigger spot when it meaned everything. So it's one of these teams is going to be defined by the other, and I think that's really interesting.
Yeah, absolutely. Again, this will be a season-defining matchup, but by again, either team on either side of it. Gosh, you broke my heart. I didn't even see the Evan Stewart stuff. Long-time listeners, long-time watchers know the love I have for that kid. So I would love to see him back. Just don't want to see him back in this spot. But no, I think the key to victory for both teams, again, part of the reason why I let you go first is because I think it's very, very easy. Who's going to be bigger? Who's going to be more powerful? Who is going to dominate the line of scrimmage more? And again, I know that's kind of a bit of a cop-out answer there, but that's truly what it is. And IU has been able to do that with literally every single opponent that they have played all season long. Now, can Dan Lanning get his guys up to play this game and punch them in the mouth and have IU, kind of playing back? IU, again, if they want to win this game, got to dominate the line of scrimmage like you did last game. And then Oregon, you're just hoping to hit those big plays. Don't kind of, I don't see stoop down, but don't try to do the same thing IU is doing. Hit your big plays. You have the playmakers for it. Well, we'll see if you have the playmakers for it. Their injury report's a little concerning, especially at the running back position for them. Mm-hmm. A lot of their running backs are listed as out. Again, it's as we inch closer, we'll get a little bit more clarity on that. But see if Dante Moore actually has it. In this game, actually, I'm wondering might be a decider whether or not he comes out to the NFL draft or not, right? But again, I'm just interested. We'll see. You touch on those kind of those stars that they got in this past recruiting cycle. We'll see if those guys peek their head. You touch on the big one and Jordan Davison not playing this game, or most likely they haven't officially ruled him out. But again, with the broken clavicle, you'd have to imagine he is out. But again, we'll see. I'm very excited. We're going duck hunting, baby. Give me the Hoosiers by 1,000,000. And we'll be playing our first national championship game. And it's going to be fantastic.
Yeah, I love the hook on this one. I think IU wins 20-17. I think it's just that close, and we get a kick, and if it goes in or goes out, I don't care. It's within 3 in the final few minutes. These two teams have something in common, Ben. Not only this is so I came up with this. Both of these teams, not only are they in the Big Ten, but in the final 2 minutes this year, both of them were trailing by Iowa. Iowa was this close. They were so close.
Oh gosh. Well, a different level. Iowa can keep it, close in the Big Ten, but they actually win against lesser competition in the SEC compared to the Big Ten. Not here for that though.
I also want to say how this is the first of quite a few that hopefully we get in future years. But the number 1 pick is playing the number 2 quarterback in the draft this year in the semifinals for the second time. That's pretty fun. Like we haven't awesome. Got many of these like actual quarterback prospects in these spots. Like Mendoza's the first Heisman to be in the CFP field in like 4 years or something like that.
Yeah.
So again, like I'm really intrigued to just see this game. I'm excited for so many people to watch for the first time and have all their takes. This is just, we're finally here. I think we're found 2 very good games, even if the numbers next to their name. And again, I said it last year halfway through, and I'll say it again. The 12-team playoff has been a resounding success. The regular season has some diminishment. I'm not gonna I still believe in that. There's still diminishment because Ohio State won a national championship after losing to 6-5 Michigan last year, and I don't love that for the sport. But in a sense of putting 12 different teams in here that can truly win, and I know the group of 5, but like Alabama lost by a bigger margin than both of them, so whatever. Yeah. But it's just you get these spots where it's like, yeah, I don't love Miami getting a third opportunity after losing to 2 ACC teams, but they're one of the 4 best teams. Like that's kind of where I'm at. And I thought they were one of the 4 best teams before the Louisville game. Like that's what's funny about it is like you just see some of these little weird games. It's football.
Yeah.
Weird things happen, weird games happen, and here we are.
Ole
Miss is the king of the SEC right now.
Which is
their coach left him a month ago.
Which is, again, we'll look back on this in 20 years, regardless of whatever the outcome is this game and maybe possibly next game. We'll look back on this 10, 15, 20 years from now and be like, you remember that season Ole Miss, went on a crazy run after Lane Kiffin left, and we're like, oh yeah. But this truly, like, these are some very, very fun matchups. And I think the matchups here are a lot more fun than what it would have been if Georgia and OSU got in, just considering the teams. And IU and Oregon, like, we just haven't seen a semifinals kind of like this. So it truly is a very beautiful thing. I'm here for it. I hope it stays 12 team. Please don't touch it. Just leave it 12. I've said that continuously. But I digress. There was one more thought I wanted to bring to the table before we carried on to the next segment. But I forgot. If it comes up in the portal talk, then it comes up in the portal talk. Any final thoughts before we move on to the portal talk?
No, don't. Let's get portal talk.
All right. So we will do the portal talk here. This is truly the point in time in which the YAP session begins. If you guys love to hear us yap, please stay. If you don't, please stay. But the yap truly begins. I guess the good place to start is I will hit on kind of the bigger names that people are probably familiar with in terms of where they had transferred to at any point in time. Please feel free to stop me. I've organized it in a way that it makes sense in my head in terms of grouping by position and grouping by schools. Uh, you will see again. Stop me if you feel like it. Um, shocker. Brandon Sorsby goes to TTU. We had talked about that. Definitely an upgrade for them. We'll see if it actually has any effect. I kind of wish they didn't. I kind of like the quarterback that they had there already taking over, and I think you probably could have invested more money elsewhere. But Byron Brown goes to Auburn, another kind of not surprised within all of this. He follows his head coach there. Austin Simmons goes to Mizzou. Kenny Minchie ends up at Kentucky, but originally committed to Nebraska. This has been one of the most like fun stories to follow. Nebraska fans now like hate this kid, which like I can't believe that either fan base in both Nebraska and or Kentucky were as invested in Kenny Minchie as these two fan bases were. Like, I understand you're looking for a quarterback, but again, like, do these fan bases realize that we're talking about Kenny Minchie and not Sam Levitt or Brenton Sorsby or TJ Lackway? I have a theory on this. I'm sure you've seen it floated around. I had kind of told you this before. Sam Levitt is still out there for like a long period of time. Sam Levitt was gonna like people were like, it's a shoo-in. He is going to Kentucky. And then out of nowhere, the Kenny Minchie flips. My theory here is that Kenny Minchie was always planning on going to Nebraska, but then at the last minute, Sam Levitt received money more than what Kentucky was going to offer him from a different school. I think it's LSU. We don't know because there's not a crystal ball out there at this point in time. But again, he was supposed to go to Kentucky, but some other school came in, offered him more money, maybe a bigger program, and then Kentucky is left like, oh shit, we don't have a quarterback. Let's go and get Kenny Minchie. Now that leaves Nebraska quarterback, or I guess portal quarterbackless. And now we kind of get on to our team groupings here. IU, the two main guys, they've killed the portal so far. Congratulations. Two big guys there is Josh Hoover, the TCU quarterback, and Nick Marsh, the Michigan State wide receiver. Two big gets. No shocking here. The trend kind of continues. Oak State gets all of the three big stars from North Texas when their coach, goes from North Texas on to Oak State, and that's Drew Messmaker, Caleb Hawkins, running back, and Wyatt Young, the wide receiver. And this is where it gets fun. Kind of two back-to-back little bit heart stings for Matt here when I say this. There's no loyalty in college football anymore in the NIL era. Parker Livingstone goes to OU. What a betrayal, which makes me think Cam Coleman is really going to Texas. And then the other one, Hollywood Smothers, goes on to Alabama, the running back from NC State. Again, kind of had to wrap up that little portion, stabbing Matt in the heart a little bit here. Your thoughts on the guys I just mentioned, portal classes in general, just overarching thoughts?
I am so excited for Oak State.
Oh my gosh,
cannot be more excited because the Big 12 is in need of our throwback Mike Leach. Like, let's air raid. All right? And Oak State doing what they did with Eric Morris and basically saying, hey, Eric Morris, we're going to hire you. And then we're going to bring on all of your team. Because I'm pretty sure they have like them and Penn State both have like 20-ish commits. And then obviously like Mestemaker is one of the highest, portal guys, and Caleb Hawkins is a really high portal guy. Wyatt Young is a really high portal guy. So again, they're kind of skewed on that, but just from like their floor, because those three guys are so good on the offensive side of the ball in the Big 12. Oh my goodness, I am over the moon excited to see what the Oak State air raid looks like next year. Sorsby, the rumor of $6 million. I've seen that. I've seen incentives. I've seen a lot. I've seen a lot on how you get to $6 million. Jackson Dart was drafted in the first round, and he's making a little under $5 million. So just think about that. That's a lot.
Yeah.
That is so much money, and I believe Texas Tech pivoted. I don't know if they pivoted, but they raised their offer once they saw Baron Morton and what that looked like, and how their offense without a quarterback kind of just sputtered and looked terrible. So I think they made that decision. And then we can, get through it. I'm excited for like what
Parker. Do you
it's
forgive
whatever. It really is. I mean, yes, I'm upset about it. I can't. I'm not gonna sit here and not be like, because he was a fun part of the story that like going into like springtime and then hitting like June-ish, it was like he's gonna have a role. Like Arch loves throwing him the football. He caught the first touchdown of the season, and so you think about all these moments throughout the season, and like again, like he was kind of the big play guy once in a while. Wasn't really consistently the guy, and that's how you get 500 yards ish. But still, don't love it. I again don't love it, especially seeing the price tag being under $1 million. It was like $800K is what the rumor was, and that Texas wasn't far off. So again, I think there was a little spite in this, and that's okay. And that's kind of college football sometimes, and it just adds fuel to the fire. I think it just adds some more, haha, OU, like gets something to laugh at Texas for, and Texas gets something to motivate them again to not allow OU to score. OU, by the time they play next year, is not going to have scored for 1,000 days. Scored a touchdown in 1,000 days on Texas. So maybe Parker Livingston helps them get in the end zone. Who knows? Some of my, NC State guys have hit the portal. Smothers is going to Alabama. I think that's good for them. Terrell Anderson, a receiver, he's going to SC. And then Jacarius Peak, he really good tackle. I'm really interested to see where he goes. He's kind of low on the 247. To me, I think he's a really good player. We'll see where he goes. He's uncommitted yet. And then finally, the last thing I'll hit on, actually I'll throw out shout out Wisner. I'm excited to see what he does at Florida State. So I'm rooting for him. And then the last one, I'm still an Austin Simmons believer. We're still here. I'm excited to see what they do at Mizzou. Chip Lindsey, the new offensive coordinator there. Just excited because I thought Austin Simmons was something. And he's got Ahmed Hardy, and they had some good receivers. I imagine they're losing some of them to the draft. But yeah, I'm excited to see Austin Simmons because I think that he lost his job because he got injured and because Chambliss was that undeniable. So again, does that mean Austin Simmons is bad? No. That's kind of my point. I think a lot of people just kind of put into the fact that he sucks now. I think he got just overwhelmed with it all. And when you get benched like that, you're kind of told the guy all offseason, and then, there's a guy way better than me. Kind of just overwhelms you. So I'm excited to see what he looks like staying in the SEC.
Yeah. We'll see. I'm not I've made it widely known. Not the biggest fan of Chip Lindsey. The guy kind of freaking blows. The fact Michigan was able to move off of him without having to pay any buyout is a success in my book. The Michigan of it all as well, because how could I not? A lot of fans angry that Michigan has one portal commit.
Texas fans are also like this.
Yeah. There's a lot of time left, guys. It'll be all right. A lot of good players left. A lot of Michigan fans, again, upset. I think the priority was always trying to keep as many guys in-house as possible and they really have been able to do that. A lot of guys, a lot of their offensive line has come back. Zeke Berry has come back.
There was two. There's Jake something and Andrew something are the ones that
Both
Texas.
very hard to pronounce last names.
Yes, Texas is kind of pursuing,
back.
and
is
Jake
back.
came back. Yes, I did see that one. So but Andrew was the higher like star rating, so he
Yes.
plays tackle.
Yeah.
Also, another thing, this is just going around the horn.
Nick Marsh is back in Michigan too. We love that.
Gooseby like signed a deal with Texas, but I think he could still go to the draft. Like I that hasn't been announced. Like there's been rumors of like, yeah, he's gonna come back, but he hasn't had one of those like announcements where it's like, I'm officially returning to Texas. You know, those like heartfelt like kind of Instagram messages, things like that. We haven't seen one of those from Gooseby yet. A lot of people like Gooseby in the NFL draft class. So I'm on pins and needles of like, I really hope he comes back, because if he doesn't, and they're like, if they don't get enough coming in as they are going out after the season they had on offense, oh Lord, it's gonna burn, because there's not a second portal. Their best receiver they got in the spring portal in Emmett Mosley. So like, like I'm sitting on pins and needles. It's still very early. We have 2 weeks of this. There's still players that are going to hit the portal. Speaking of, Damon Williams signed a deal a week ago. He is in the portal with a do not contact tag. Somebody just called his agent and said, "We swung and missed on all our quarterbacks. We'll pay him $5 million." And he said, "Okay." Like, that's what happened.
Miami.
That's what the rumor is right now as we are talking. Interested to see.
Literally happened. I mean, moments before we had went live.
Yes.
It is ridiculous. Very interested to see where he goes. I mean, immediately, I think, like, considering everything, I think he is probably quarterback one within the transfer portal. Like, even if
I don't know about that.
Well, right now the number one quarterback in the portal is Ray Sorsby, and I would much rather have Demond Williams over Sorsby.
Whoa, okay.
I love Damon Williams.
I'd have the 3. Maybe. Again, I'm so Mestamaker pilled. It's probably like
That's
really
fair.
bad. But I'm Mestamaker, and then I have Sorsby just because of the size. The size over everything. And then I think Levitt and him are like really similar, except Levitt has like 3 inches. So again, am I kind of giving the edge to Levitt because I'm being a heightist? Yes. But at the same time,
Levitt was small.
No, Levitt's kind of tall. Levitt's like 6'2". But yeah, I also want to give it. I'm really excited for the Penn State Cyclones this year because they have 24 recruits. 20 of them are from Iowa State. Yeah. Again, speaks to Campbell. Speaks to like the guys love want to play for him, and they love their dude. And they got, of course, Rocco, and they showed that what was it? It was going around during the Bad Boy Mowers Bowl. That schedule next year, ooh baby, for Penn State. They could be 10-2 in the playoff pretty easily. We'll see if that happens, but I think it's very funny that Penn State and Oklahoma State have kind of just like embodied. They brought their coach in and they said, "Bring them all, everybody, hop on the bus. We're going." But there's still so much to get through.
Yes, funny too. Speaking of the Damon Williams and the Sam Levitt of it all, given it is your Instagram insiders. But as you were talking, kind of scrolling through, it looks like Washington has already been on the phone with Sam Levitt and is trying to get him in the building.
Washington?
To at least to come in and pay him a visit. So how fun would that be?
Well, they're upgrading. They're getting taller.
Kind of the big stuff. Oh, by the way, Aiden Childs going to be in the chip offense. That I think is going to be a lot of fun. He's going to Northwestern. They just Northwestern like 2 weeks ago.
Okay. I didn't know
that. Yeah. Yes. Just hired Chip as their OC, which I'm kind of shocked that he couldn't get like a better job somewhere else. Like I understand he like kind of really sucks at coaching the NFL, but it's like a very, very good college, like offensive, like play caller. Chip Kelly, like again, regardless of whatever you think about him in the NFL, he's very good at college. But it's going to be really, really interesting to see Aiden in that offense. I'm excited for that. But in terms of kind of the big names left for quarterbacks, you still obviously, as we talked about, Sam Levitt, Devon Williams, and then you have kind of the three big. I know one you will want to talk about, but you have DJ Lagway, who I'm still very high on, Dylan Raiola, and then probably maybe your favorite of the group, Deuce Knight, which like I am of the camp that like I understand why Byron Brown had went to Auburn. And I understand why Goals wanted to bring him there, but like they're the same archetype of quarterback, and Deuce Knight has 4 years of eligibility left, and I think probably a higher ceiling as a passer. I would have just tried to keep Deuce Knight in the building, but of those quarterbacks, do you want to talk about any of them?
I'm really interested to see who swings on Lagway because
Florida
the
State.
freshman upside that he had was like undeniable. Like going into the year, I was like, this guy's a top 3 quarterback in this conference. And I wasn't really like, I don't want to say I was shy about it, but I wasn't really conflicted on it. Like he was better than, obviously as the season goes on, but like, you think about the guys who became good in the conference, but Lagway, just undeniable talent. And then it's like, oh, he's in a boot until August every time. And it's like, okay, dude, like this is great for us. I know he visited Florida State. Hilarious. Gus Malzahn compared him to Cam Newton. Where have I seen that before? Oh, yeah, KJ Jefferson was Cam Newton to Gus Malzahn a few years ago. I forgot about that. And then there was another quarterback at Auburn. He compared him to Cam Newton. But whatever. I don't think Lagway would work in the Malzahn offense. That's why they pivoted to Ashton Daniels. But Lagway's interesting because I've seen, obviously, the Big 12 and Baylor is getting a lot of love. I'm pretty sure he visited Virginia.
Yes.
Virginia would be cool. Like, I'm interested in that. I'm so interested in one of these smaller schools legitimately piling up their funds to, like, just take a massive ceiling swing on a guy that, when it's right, it looks great. And so I'm interested to see where he goes. Raiola, I don't know. I'm kind of meh on Raiola at this point. And it's, again, and it's all we all are probably the same thing. It's like, I just think he's a corny dude. I know he's just a kid, guys, but like it is a corny kind of thing, and it's not great. It's not when you're sold a bag of goods of being the number 1 player in the class, and it's been 2 years of like, oh, you're still taking the sack where you just held onto the ball for 5 seconds in the pocket. Don't love that. And I don't want to build around that. And then you mentioned Deuce Knight. I think the biggest appeal with Knight is the 4 years of eligibility and just the ability to be a chaos creator, and he's so long and huge. Again, still very raw as a passer. He had a play against Mercer where he threw it at a defensive back. Didn't get caught, but he threw it right at him. So there's still like, I think this could be I don't know. Could this be like LSU swings on one of these guys and they bring him in as like they try and do like what they did with Van Buren or whatever, but like Deuce Knight's actually good. I don't know. That could be something, but specifically those 3 guys, that's what I think.
Okay. Well, there you go. I have two kind of like thoughts to wrap up the show. Again, kind of yapping points. Um, of the guys, and it doesn't necessarily have to be the quarterback. I will go the quarterback route here. But of the guys we have not talked about, is there a signing that really perks your ears? For me, it is kind of the cop out answer, and I understand that. Um, it's Colton Joseph, the Old Dominion kid.
Oh yes, dude, this is a good one.
Going to Wisconsin. It's gonna be a lot of fun. Fickle finally, like, hopefully gets a good quarterback because he just has not had that, like, at all. So it's gonna be interesting. I love it. What he brings on the ground, like as a runner, is
Yep.
truly fantastic. Uh, Room to grow as a passer. Uh, don't like the turnover numbers he has, especially at Old Dominion. But I mean, I watched more Old Dominion ball than what I probably would have thought, just because they were better than I would have thought.
Yeah.
And I think that he's going to be a lot of fun to watch. And that's kind of my under the radar. I don't know if you have one for beautiful listeners.
I have some players. They haven't like signed yet, but there's some
Shoot it.
players in here. Smith Snowden from Utah. He's played inside outside for quite a few years at
He's
he's a
coming
smaller
Michigan.
guy, so again, he's not going to be high up on a transfer list, but
Yeah.
I think he's a good football player. The Pittsburgh linebacker who seems to go to Ohio State, but there's no crystal ball yet, Rasheem Biles. He played in that the Military Bowl against ECU, and he had one of the best games of the year. He's just all over the place. He was someone that I was just fascinated by. He just looked mentally sharper and more talented than everybody on the field the entire game. And that's been linked is that he's going to go to Ohio State this entire time. He's kind of a smaller linebacker,
Yeah.
but again, kind of that tweener linebacker is what is working in college football nowadays. And then lastly, just to be like kind of homer, I think Noah Rogers is a good player for NC State. He's very low on the list. He's been I believe he was Ohio State prior to NC State, so he has the major recruiting background. He's not small. And he had some plays this year where CJ Bailey would just nuke him across the field, across the middle of the field, and I thought he was very good. So again, that's another guy that just throwing out there. None of them have signed. Obviously, we have some time before everybody will be signed, but this was a good little primer for all the guys that hit the portal and kind of knew where they were going right away.
Yeah, and again, the portal opened up technically 4 days ago. I emphasize technically because some of the guys had probably already known where they were going. So there's still a lot of time left. There's still a week and a half left for the portal to be open for players to put their names in. Again, those players can still get signed out of the portal even after the portal closes. So there's still time for a lot of change, and there will still definitely be change. Really quickly to the Noah Roger point, I don't know much about the kid besides that fantastic hurdle he had against Memphis in that bowl game.
Yep.
That's about the knowledge that I have about the kid, but man, was he fun. But again, a lot of change in terms of the portal, and just a lot of change across the board. We have one more show left, but before we close it out, one more final thing. We spend so much time talking about the college football playoffs, but there was a championship game that got played on Monday. Did you watch Montana State
That was
versus?
insane.
Oh my gosh, I thought they were dead. I thought Illinois State was dead, and we don't have to do this too long because I'm sure not many of our listeners care at this point. But I
caught
thought
the
Illinois
finish.
State was dead in the water when they were down 14 points going into the fourth there. But man, did they storm back! And I thought they were going to do it, man. I thought they were going to do it. It would have been a storybook ending for them.
what was it? I tuned in during that drive in which it ended with the block kick,
Yeah.
and I was like, "Oh my goodness!" Like that, it's just like that. And then they kind of, what was it? Montana State kind of ran it out, and then they went to overtime, and then you have the missed extra point, and it's just like, did you watch? Like once you saw that missed extra point, you're like, oh,
Yeah. Oh,
no,
it's
that's
yep.
it.
Oh, it's
Yeah,
done.
I
It's
think
done.
that's it. And yeah, they ended up losing by 1 in the championship.
Boy, yeah.
That would give me shivers.
I mean, it is a storybook ending for them. I mean, no one expected them to get this far at all.
Shout out to FCS. Shout out, like that's the FCS Cinderella,
Yeah.
and they made it
yeah,
that far.
Yeah, they're the old miss.
And then Oregon beat Montana State, so Oregon has a win over a current national champion right now.
No, would you look at that?
So if Oregon wins the championship, then that means we had the FBS champion face the FCS champion this year.
Yeah, what was the final score of that game?
Oregon hung like 60.
Let's see.
It wasn't close.
Oh, I would imagine. Now, but I'm just interested now at this point. Yeah, 59-13. That was week. That was week 1. Yeah, Kenyon
was tight.
had the hurdle in that game too. I do remember this game now. But yes, as always, it was great. We like technically only have 2 more weeks of this format for college football corner or college corner, I guess. We have next week going into the championship game, and then we'll probably just kind of do like a season end, and then from there there'll be off season changes. You guys will still, in terms of the podcast as a whole, probably get 2 episodes a week in terms of the NFL, and then scouting of some sorts. As we know more, of course, we will keep you guys updated. But any final thoughts here before we get into the closeout and thanking our sponsors?
No, I think we have a bookend of awesome football. I think this is my favorite time of football. I know I haven't. I'm pretty like, I love football, but like the fact that you have 5 games, or 5 days of both college football semis, and then you lead right into NFL wild card. There's just games galore. There's something always to look for, and I love island games. I love standalone football games because I love having my attention on one singular thing, and I can kind of dissect it. Go back and forth and see what I missed. So I can already plan on doing that for the Thursday night game. 48 hours from the semifinals kicking off. Ben, are you nervous?
Like a little bit, but to be frank, I'm like a little shocked that I'm saying this. I am less nervous headed into this matchup versus Oregon than I was the first time around.
Well, wait, the first Oregon game or the Alabama game?
The first Oregon game, not the Alabama
Okay.
game. Screw that.
Okay.
We beat
I was gonna say I thought you were nervous because the bye was taking souls. The bye was like,
oh my gosh.
every time a team lost,
I remember
it would
what I was going to talk about.
every time a team lost, like when Ohio State lost, it was like the bye team's 0-5. Does this mean anything? And then it was like Oregon beat Texas Tech. It's like, is the bye? Oh my God. And it's like the only underdog that won was Miami. Like like everybody last year who had the bye was a dog. And because like Georgia and Notre Dame kind of flip-flopped because of, what happened in New Orleans the day before, and Gunnar Stockton was starting his first game. So again, that one was kind of weird, but like Miami was the first actual like underdog to win the bye game. Yeah. But it was still something, and then it like got to the Alabama thing, and it was like, oh, Indiana overcame the bye.
Yeah.
And then Georgia lost. Georgia lost. The bye is 1-7. Don't get the bye, everybody.
Don't get the bye. Yeah, no,
Don't be too
that was
good.
the point that I wanted to. Yeah, that was the point early on, like when we were talking about the matchup, and I was like, I forgot something, but what is it? It was that. It was that. Yeah, people, a little worried. Like it might be a
ESPN
thing.
loved it. ESPN was drilling
Oh.
like the buy thing the entire day of like they were just keeping track of like the buy team spanning last year, and it's like, are they pushing? Because you know what format would have no buys? 16 teams, by the way. So just that's immediately where my head went. I don't know if you even thought
shut
about
your
that.
mouth. You shut
You
your
made a
mouth.
face like you didn't even think about. You know what
No,
format doesn't
I
have
didn't.
buys? The 16 team, and I think that's where we're gonna go. I don't know.
I hope
Listen,
not.
if
I hope
anything, if Miami and Ole Miss told anybody, they just said, "Listen, we need to get to 16 because if Texas was in this, they'd probably be out already." But it'd be cool if they were in.
Yeah. Well, okay. So I'm thinking about it. If it got bumped from 12 to 16, that would have been what? Texas, Vandy, Notre Dame. Who's the fourth team? I'm blanking on who that fourth team
It's got to be
is.
Utah, right? Or BYU, BYU,
BYU
BYU.
versus BYU. Yeah. See that would have been fun, but like I don't. I've made my opinions very, very, very well known.
But
in terms of-
Ben, you don't get it. If that would have happened, the lowest ranked team, the 16th ranked team, would have been what? That would have been who?
would have
JMU.
been JMU.
They would have headed to where? The number 1 seed? Who's that? IU.
I know.
Oh my goodness. Could you imagine?
Yeah, I could imagine Fernando Mendoza hanging up 70 points on them as he did with all those lower level competition through the first. Like,
But there would have been pride. There would have been like, you guys took all our players. Pride.
Pride, sure. We'll go with pride. That's what we'll use. But yes, it was fun. We will be back next week talking about the championship football. Let's go. Hopefully it is my dream matchup.
Maybe I don't know. We'll have to work it out, but maybe one of the days like right after the games happen, we could do a recap or something.
Like Saturday.
Maybe.
I don't know. We'll work it out. We'll keep you guys updated, or maybe we won't. Maybe we'll do a spontaneous emergency pod. We'll see. We always say we'll keep you guys updated, but let's be honest, I don't do a good enough job for that. I don't get paid enough.
All right.
Yeah, I know. We'll figure it out as we go. Hoping obviously for IU and Ole Miss. Mainly Ole Miss because I like to match it better with IU, but it'll be fun regardless. Enjoy football, enjoy your semis. As always, thank you to our sponsors, Regional Radio Sports, Spotify for podcasters, and Regional Radio Sports. And we will see you guys at some point next week or late this week.